What's up, boys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're gonna be analyzing Clem's TvZ, probably the best TvZ in the world. You guys know Clem has been getting some really insane results recently. He won the Wardy TV Invitational, beating some really good Protoss players in the Stay at Home Story Cup as well. But what Clem is most legendary for these days is his TvZ. He seems to be the only Terran in the world that can compete and even win against Cheryl and Raynor. He even beat Cheryl and Raynor, both of them, in the DreamHack this season. So today I really just want to analyze games from his point of view, see what he does differently. Because, you know, in a cast sometimes it's a lot about entertainment. You see things from both persons' point of view, but I really want to look at this game from Clem's point of view, see what he does differently. I think in general he kind of has a similar style to me, maybe a little bit more aggressive. I would say I'm a little bit more passive. So, but the styles are kind of similar. So I really want to see what he does differently for me, and we're going to try to explain that to you guys as well. So to add a little bit of context, I'm sure most of you, or some of you already have seen this game. This is from the DreamHack Fall Masters EU Winner Bracket Finals, which Clem actually ended up winning. And this is the first game in the best of 5. I'm going to watch another game of this as well after. And I hope I can remember to edit the score down at the bottom, so you know, you guys can easily follow with some context. But anyway, this was game number 1. And I have to be honest, every time Clem played against Sarah or Raynor, it would be really close, but he would lose 3-2 or 3-1, kind of like that. So that's kind of the feeling I was getting. And this is the game Clem played, game number 1, where I was really like, oh, he could actually potentially win this tournament and beat those players. And that's where I got real interesting. So a few things that I noticed as well, just general lines, is that Clem really likes to go for 2-base openers, which is really weird in this meta. Especially because, you know, normally uTherrans, these days uTherrans are pretty good, but still not really considered as good as Korean Terrans. But all the Korean Terrans are playing 3cc before second gas every game. Here you go. Basically every game is 3cc before second gas, because no one believes they can do damage with those extra early units, because that's the difference. You get your tech units a little bit later for a better economy, and there seems to be no Terran in the world that believes they can actually do damage like that, except for Clem, which makes it even more impressive. Like, no matter if you watch Innovation or Cure or TY, they all seem to be going for the fast 3cc, and then just try to play an economic game, maybe outgreed the Zerg, hopefully not scouted. But Clem opens 2-base pretty much every single game. That's how confident he is in being able to do damage, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. Like, honestly, I didn't even really consider playing 2-base openers anymore that much, unless I was going for like Bala Cruiser maybe, but yeah, Clem honestly made me believe in it again. Obviously very stellar Reaper micro here. Nothing too crazy yet. Also, one thing I noticed very strongly, you guys are going to see it in this game, I'm sure, is that Clem actually has an insane reaction time. Like, those are the two things I notice most from his games without going deeper into analysis, is that even if you catch him off guard with like a bailing flank, he's still gonna react and split really fast most of the time. It's actually pretty crazy. And obviously he's playing against Raynor as well. You know, who's able to distract you and do so many things at once, which makes it even more impressive. So he's playing on Submarine here. So far everything's standard except for the 2-base opener. He's gonna send out his Hellions instantly right away. He's really good at keeping like non-stop pressure on as well. Maybe I'll leave his POV at some point if it gets too fast, which I can totally imagine. Especially if you look in the in-game camera, it just jumps over all the time. This game is actually going for Banshee. Maybe this is the time where I should stop following the POV. For a bit at least. Until I really want to see what it's doing, you know. So this game is going for Banshee. This honestly kind of goes to the point I said earlier. Banshee is something you usually only play when you're better than your opponent. Well, I don't know if that's what Clem thought here, but still I think it's pretty great confidence to go for Banshee. Banshee is, however, pretty good against Roach Hollins, so that's what he also could be expecting on this small map. So one thing that Clem does different from most Terrans already is that he sends out 4 Hellions instantly. Normally the way you use the Hellions is you send 2, the first 2, and then you keep the next few at home until you have 4. But Clem really wants to keep the mass pressure on, so he actually just rallies the first 4 straight away. And I don't know, thinks he can survive the Ling run by with the extra units coming out at home and some SCV micro, or just being able to read the game that well. But he definitely rallies his Hellions a lot faster. Very confident with those. Let's see how he controls those Hellions, because I feel like this is the part where it gets hard for me and a lot of Terrans, is that you want to move your Hellions to kill the creep all the time, but you have to make your buildings at the same time as well. So you can see he constantly switches. He didn't even make both barracks at the same time. He made one and then went back to his Hellions and then made another one. That's already pretty sick. Banshees at the front. Too bad, maybe it would have been nice to see his hotkeys as well, but at this point it's probably not going to be anything too mind-blowing. Hellions on one and the Banshee on the other. Now I'm curious how he's going to manage to find damage with this. Obviously the macro at home is going to be really good. Baiting those links to come out. Looks to be a... This is also one thing. Clem, I don't know how, but he always trades well. Just look at this for a second. First of all, he gets the bait, okay? He gets the bait, so this looks good for Clem. He wanted to bait the links and then attack the links instead. But Rainer actually counter micros and gets a really good surround on. But then he still manages to find the one hole in between the Zerglings and gets a fantastic trade, only losing 2 Hellions. These 2 links are actually very annoying, gonna get 2 more Hellion kills. But that's so typical of Clem, to always find the right way out. Like I said, super fast reactions. Macro at home has been perfect, by the way. 100 minerals, like absolutely nothing to say about that. 5 barracks already going. And I feel like that may be the difference between him and me. I've lost a little bit of speed the last few years, I feel like. But every time I get like a really sick Hellion fight, I just look at this, you know. He has literally 0 minerals and less than 100 gas, but with all the Hellion harassment he did, and the Banshees as well, I really feel like I would have banked a little bit more money, just like most Terrans. But he really doesn't skip a beat at all in that case. And I already feel like he got a decent amount of damage done. Banshees are still alive, 5 drones, and don't forget, he killed all the links, and Rainer had to make 14 extra Zerglings for that, which is already a big deal. And the thing with the really good macro is that I feel like, again, Zerg is kind of a race you need to keep pressure on, you know? And Clem's strength is to, like I said, in this case he micro really well, but he also produced perfectly during this time. And if you do some damage like that with the Hellions, you can actually follow it up with an attack if you macro perfectly. A lot of the times I slip up a little bit, and then my follow-up attack is not going to be as strong. Like, even if you miss 4 or 5 Marines, that could be the snowball effect that you're missing there, you know. It's gonna attack very fast here. This was the attack that I watched. So I remember watching this live, right? And up until this moment, I was like, well, Clem is doing a good job so far, but it's pretty even, nothing special yet. This still looks like a pretty good game for Rainer, you know. And in this attack, when I was like, man, it's just insane. I think he might actually win this because he just gets so much damage. Like this push. It looks like nothing, you know. He has so many links everywhere. He has the queens, the banelings, and I really didn't think he was gonna do anything. So what Clem does here is he just pushes with a handful of Marines, which he has enough medevacs for, and then 1 tank. And it seems kind of like a sacrificial attack, but what ends up happening is he targets the Banes with the tank, as you can see, kills all the banelings, and just gets a really good trade before he just lifts off. And before this, yeah, the supply was not looking that great for him. And now, obviously, even though Rainer is backing, I feel like he already climbed back a lot. Just with such a simple trade, just a few units, he gets an amazing trade out of it. And this is what's been consistently impressing me, is that, like, I feel like you could give him a medevac with 2 Marauders and a landed Viking, and he's gonna kill a hatchery with it or something, you know. Like, to me, it's actually incredible how he manages to just find damage over and over and over with random stuff. Kept the Banshees alive as well. They're going for some more harassment. Sniped the Queen. He also never forgets about the units he has, by the way. I feel like, you know, sometimes when you send units everywhere, I'm sure you guys had this as well. At some point, you're gonna have a medevac in a corner just chilling, doing nothing. But he always seems to use it again later. Like, he keeps really good tabs on what units he has everywhere. Look at this army macroed up at home in the meantime. Doesn't really get supply book too much either. I don't remember seeing it. Maybe I've just not paid attention to it. But yeah. Actually, to be honest, before these games, I didn't realize this macro was also that on point. Like it's been absolutely fantastic. Probably gonna start the fourth behind as well. There we go, beautiful. And this is also very sick to me that I feel like I'm just impressed with everything. But really, because the thing is I play these games as well, but worse, you know. So I know what this feels like, and a lot of times when I watch these games, he just seems to know when he can attack. Like, who would just randomly walk onto creep here and actually have it work out, you know? I noticed this in the games against Cero in the season finals as well. Like, I feel like he just knows when to go for it and attack in any moment. Like, his read of the game is so impressive. Gets a counter attack. This looks like a disaster, but actually it goes really well somehow. Really good positioning on the tank. Now let's see how he handles this. Still somehow pretty sure with this army. What happens to me usually is that if I do things at once, I either AFK this army because I can't manage it at all, but he actually is so confident that he's defending and going at the same time. That's also a really important element in the gameplay, you know, just the pure confidence. Splitting and defending at the same time. Well macroing as well, of course. I feel like this is very dangerous to do, but he somehow manages to get away with it. Really good splits, obviously. I mean, you guys know that. You know he can split. He split like an absolute god. We knew that already. I think he even managed to rebuild his fourth in the mid. I didn't even notice it while looking at his POV. In the middle of this this battle while he was losing, he actually managed to rebuild his fourth as well. In the third base after losing the one to the circling run nice. This Widow Mine, by the way, I thought this was a mistake. Like, he's actually doing the brick, as you guys may know it, which is just no gases here, 8 barracks, and just go with just Marine tank. And he made one random Widow Mine from the tech lab, the factory with the tech lab, and I thought it was a mistake. But then he actually made it every game this series, just one Widow Mine from the tech lab, and actually ended up getting a lot of value every game. And I was like, well, not even that's a mistake. I actually thought he made that on accident every time, or at least the first time, and maybe the second time as well. But then I realized he just kept doing it, and somehow it worked out as well. Still has 65 SCVs as well. Wait, let me go back a little bit to see if he actually had that many SCVs all the time. Okay, so the Zerglings didn't actually kill that many SCVs, he just killed a bunch of Marines and tanks, I guess. I was wondering if he actually made more than 66 SCVs normally, because on 3 base, especially if you do the brick, you don't go beyond like 63, or maybe 66. So I was wondering if he actually made more than that, but so far, at least that is just standard, you know. Saturating himself on 3 bases, not the gas, it's just the minerals. And now probably gonna make a few more SCVs to saturate the 4th base. He's gonna go for a big push again. I notice he does really like to, he always has like small drops everywhere, but when it's the moment to strike, when he thinks he can win, he will just group his army completely. Alright, look at this. Look at this, guys. He got caught off guard, he didn't see those Baelings at all, and then he still reacts fast, and lands his base at the same time. Like, this is actually, look, he's not even looking at his army, right? And then suddenly it comes in, instantly splits and sieges, lands the CC, and it still managed to get insane splits off and take a good trade. The trades are just always good. It's incredible. I feel like the best way to play against Clem is probably just to backstab all the time, because those trades, they just go into his favor all the time. Like that little sequence there was actually crazy. Just a casual tap away to land the command center while you're, you know, getting ambushed. Their reaction speed and their confidence, that's super impressive. Now Clem just has so many units after all this trades. What does the units loss look like? Almost double for Raynor here. Just like I said. I do have to add, guys, that it's supposed to be in favor of the Terran a bit. At this point, it's definitely not supposed to be double anymore. But yeah, it's still absolutely incredible. Units lost tab. Always lifts up. This is something that's a bit underused, I think, lifting up into the medevacs. I feel like everyone always tries to split, but Clem actually knows when he can split and when he needs to get the hell out of there, you know. Let's see how he can do with his counter attack. At this point, you have to make a decision. Do I just A-move and win the game? Or do I actually deal with the counter-attack, you know? Yeah, he actually didn't realize it. He was so focused on winning. This is very understandable, you know, when you're in a tournament and you're about to beat a good player, you tunnel vision so hard that you don't pay attention anymore. Completely missed that run by there. As you can see, you could tell that he was getting a little bit nervous here, right? But honestly, an amazing game. I want to watch another one. Let's watch another one, guys. Alright, boys. I want to watch another game. This game is a little bit longer. Also, an insane game. I'm showing you the 2 games that I was personally the most impressed with initially. So once again, to add some context, as you can see here, it was actually 2-2. And Clem adapted to the series. So basically what happened so far is that Clem won the first 2 games pretty convincingly, kind of similar to the game you just saw. And then Rainer came back. One game was a mid-game Roach-in. And the other game, I think it was a game against Lurkers. So what Clem decided to do in this game was to play kind of similar to what you guys just saw in game 1. Like for the rest of the series beyond that, he was playing longer macro games with mines. But the Rainer seemed to get the upper hand with Lurker play in the late game. So this game, Clem decided to go a bit more ham again. Get those Marines and tanks and just push straight through. I think in this series, I'm pretty sure Clem played a 2-base opener every single game, actually. And this game he had an interesting opener that I haven't seen before. So this was a barracks first gas. Let me just learn the builder quickly with you guys as well, you know. Maybe useful later on, who knows, some Clem builders. I'm sure you guys don't mind too much. Yeah, this game is actually very hectic, like the other game, and that's why this game's POV is going to be very interesting. I wonder if it's going to be too fast to follow. The last game, I feel like all the moves were just perfect. The last game we watched, of course, all the moves were just perfect. He got all the trades and, you know, just bing, bang, boom, and Rainer was dead. But this game became like a very hectic base trade game, and what I like I want to see is that they both got nervous in this game. You could tell, and I struggle from that too in tournaments, obviously. And when you play like a hectic game against Zerg and you're nervous, things get very difficult. Like when there's Zerglings here or a drop there for the Zerg and some Banings on your PF, but your Marines are about to catch the Mutas, and when you're nervous and your hands are a bit shaky or something like that, it can be super hard to deal with. And that's why I really wanted to watch this game, because I think the POV must be insane, to be honest. Obviously, second gas on 2-base again, Clem style. If you want to play like Clem, you may not be able to play like Clem, but at least you can make a second gas before your third CC. That's Clem style. That's how you differentiate yourself as a Clem fanboy instead of an innovation fanboy or I don't know, a Cure fanboy, I guess. Reaper Rest as always. Instantly saturate the gas. This could be different in some builds. Like some builds you wait until you have 16 to saturate the gas, or with this build, and with all Clem's builds I'm pretty sure he actually saturates it instantly when it finishes. Just to get a scout, really good denial by Rainer. As to be expected. So with this build, Clem actually makes 2 Marines instead of 2 Hellions. So he doesn't switch the reactor right away. If you want to use this build, keep it in mind. I'm not going to promise you guys to send the replays, because I'm not sure if I'm actually allowed to send these. I mean, maybe by now they'll already be released. I'm not even sure, to be honest. I'll check. I'll take care of you guys, don't worry. Okay, so he gets, I think he has 3 Marines, right? Yeah, he got 3 Marines, 1 Hellion. And now he's going to make a Marine and 2 Hellions. So this looks like he's going for a Marine drop. If I remember, yeah, that's what it was. Marine drop into Liberator. Also, if you go multiple Marines, what's really nice to do is clear out Overlords. If you're like sick of Overlords flying around all the time, you can actually totally use that to clear Overlords around the map. You can use a Viking too, but with a Marine drop you can pretend to attack at the same time, you know? Unless you do the Penguin Brothers, Vikings are not going to be too useful offensively. So Rainer is going for this. I feel like from Rainer's side, this is a super meta game. It's going really fast lair with the 4 gases, late third base. Judging from the production tab, obviously Clem doesn't have complete scouting. Though at this point Clem does know what it is, by the way, because of the timing of the third base. So now, because I personally struggle against 2-base Muda part a bit, it's a really tough TvZ to play against. I lost some games against the Destroy mech as well, I believe. So now I want to know what it looks like from Clem's point of view. I'm sure you guys have that sometimes when you play against Mudas and the game just feels like it's over because Mudas are flying around torturing you. And you're like, and you can never move out, you know what I mean? I'm sure you guys make that exact same sound as well. So just to be clear, we have 7 Aliens, 1 Reaper, and then a Medevac drop with 5 Marines and a Liberator follow-up. That's what this attack is. Now I want to know, because this is going to be the hardest part for all you guys, and even me. Adding all the production and all the E-base while you're doing a double prong. And so far it looks pretty easy for Clem. Like he doesn't seem to have any trouble keeping up. Let's check what the APM is. Not the most interesting stat, about 337 average. Yeah, I mean that's about what I would expect, of course. So I didn't even see him get the E-base down. Maybe that happened when I pressed the APM, I'm not sure. Wait, did you see how fast? This is normal speed, by the way. I'm just impressed how fast he made those gases. Look at the gases. It's like a Cero inject, you know? Drops the Marines, puts them back, moves the Hellions, bam bam. And there were the gases. Beautiful. Liberated at the same time. Probably uses 3 different hotkeys for these. I doubt he's clicking that fast on the minimap, even though it is possible, guys. Some people don't actually hotkey everything. He's really fast at like re-seizing the Liberator as well. Maybe he's just playing like 5 million DPI. Only has to move it like 1 inch to do everything he wants. That's the secret, guys. Spoiler, it's not. Please don't use 5 million DPI. Gets the Queen as well, of course. So it seemed like the Marine with the Medevacs with the Marines, or just the single Medevac with the Marines was more of a distraction. It didn't really end up doing too much. For the Hellions and the Liberator. Liberator got some good damage. Hellions are doing fantastic as well. Here he's afraid of the links. You can tell, even though sometimes it feels like Clem is YOLO, because he pulls back at those kind of times, you can tell that it's actually very calculated aggression, most of the time at least, I imagine. It's really sick how consistent he has been with his TvZ through aggression. I feel like normally when someone's really consistent, it's like through passive play, you know, having figured out the defense completely and stuff. But for Clem, it's just like perfect aggression, pretty much. So this is when it would start getting really annoying for me, when mutas are flying around and you're not completely set up. Turret gets denied on 90%, you know. This is when I start feeling like, oh man, this game has slipped out of my grasp already. And now I want to see what Clem decides to do against it. Once again, it looks like he's going for the brick, just like in game 1. He's not making those gases. Normally, if you play a macro game, just a small tip in between, you would actually get a 5th gas. And that's, if you watch a game, that's usually how you can recognize them going for a longer game as well, or just going for that A direct straight to the middle. Yeah, frontal attack. Now, this doesn't mean he can't play a macro game. He's gonna follow with a 4th command center, but this game is very centered around like just brutal frontal pushes, basically. So now, even though he's being attacked by the mutas, he feels very confident to attack. Yeah, I'm relating to this. The mutas are being annoying. This is relatable content for me. Finally, guys. This is what I want to see. Clem getting tortured just like me, and now I want to see how he's gonna win against it. So what always stands out as well is that he's really good against Zergling run-bys, because if you look at this, he has nothing. In his 3rd base ready, his army's out. But still, it doesn't feel like he takes damage to this at all. He reacts really fast, like I said. I don't know how to say it. It's not necessarily speed. It's like a bit of reaction time, but also switching screens, if that makes sense. Like he was basically instant and going to his rally point and sending them to his 3rd base to defend. Like his tempo, I think that's the right word. His tempo is very high. It's not necessarily speed. It's the tempo that's really high. Realizing he left the tanks behind. It was actually a pretty cool bait. It was on accident, but you know, I think he got 2 mutas for that. If it was only 1, then obviously not worth it. Even for 2 mutas, I'm not sure if it's worth it. So here we're gonna go. Clem's gonna go for brutal aggression. splits really well, and this fight even started kind of as a disaster, as you can see. I feel like when I play this kind of pushes, everything needs to go well, but here you can see in the bottom, there's one bailing at the bottom over there, right here. It's gonna kill this entire clump, because I feel like these links from the back, I'm using my hands, like you guys can see me like it's a PowerPoint or something. The links from the back kind of surprised him, and that's why he started splitting away like this, and then these bailings just kill all these Marines basically for free. So right now it already looks like a disaster. I don't know how this fight was salvaged, to be honest. Hellbats are on the links. Still gets one shot on the bailings off from the tank. That was really good target firing. Also, he always scans forward. He always wants to know exactly how much stuff there is. If you pay attention to it, you'll notice that almost all the time when he fights, he's gonna scan forward. Just to see how many units there are, if there are bailings morphing, who can actually push forward as well. Just like I said, he's gonna follow it with 4th Command Center. This game, you could tell they were nervous because they were actually making a bunch of mistakes, like Rainer lost a few mutas for nothing, Clem forgot his 2-2. So what I'm really looking at is just, you know, the speed of the gameplay, the reactions and stuff like that. Especially, it's gonna get more and more hectic as this game goes on. Now this is an awkward spot because he's supposed to be all-in, but he just killed the 4th base. And now, do you decide to just YOLO on creep and hope to end it? Or do you just try and keep the economic advantage, which you don't really have, but kind of? Okay, here we go. Gets jumped on unexpectedly. Tank, he's really fast at clicking the tanks as well. I feel like basically this video has just been me saying he's really fast at doing this. But it's true. Like the tanks, is rarely that the tank just shoot on something random. There were like 4 tanks right there. And he got jumped on unexpectedly, but they still got a click on the bailing, even though it wasn't a massive shot.
Somebody, get me out of this mess.
Lose this last tank. Still on tank Marine, by the way. Like I said, normally against mutas you would rather have mines, of course, eventually. But this game is, yeah, he really just wants to push forward and kill him with this tank Marine. Rainer doing a great job there. And you can tell how this is a super stressed game, because he's like, it's kind of hard for him to make the decision right now, you know. Do I attack? Do I YOLO? Do I go back and play with an economic advantage? Well, not really having an economic advantage. I don't think the other base is finished yet, is it? Yeah, so he's slightly behind, but he's about to saturate his fort, so he's getting up. And it's very interesting to see that he actually keeps making Marine tank. Like, he doesn't want to transition from this stuff. And I think it may have something to do with the fact that he's been killing these bases. Like, if a Zerg is on 5 base out of control, and your attack already failed a bit, it might be hard to continue. See, so he's going to push straight to the middle. So, the way he pushes is actually very textbook and what you're supposed to do, but it's hard. So, instead of making the decision to YOLO over the creep, he actually keeps going around to the base on the outside. Like, he would never push like this to the 3rd base, because then you might get flanked, there might be a creep here and it could get awkward, Banis could roll in faster. But he will always go to the outside base. So he pushes this one dies. He pushes all the way back around to this base, and he just keeps on going. It seems like he never actually goes through the middle. So, I don't know, this is very disciplined. He's very determined to actually never, you know, attack through the middle and just keep attacking these outside bases and playing it by the rules, I guess. Obviously, he has a 4 base of himself, so now his eco is actually in a pretty good spot. And I feel like this is kind of when it begins, you know. He has a really good push, but the mutas fly in. And despite the supply, this is a very tough situation, especially in the tournament, because at this muta count, you need to have something pretty drastic to deal with it, such as a small army, basically. You can't really send your rallies. You kind of need a small army, like 20 Marines, to really battle it. But he's pushing at the same time. But if you push without looking, Bailings could roll into your army. And like I said, this muta count can't be stopped by just a few turrets, which is what makes this really difficult. Here we go. It's gonna get another few SCVs. Probably gonna go into the main after that. 10 SCVs already dead. You know, down to 56 SCVs. He's still trying to push at this point. But he sees creep. You saw that? He saw the creep and he was like, hell no. And he went around. I feel like Honestly, I didn't notice this about his play before, but it seems like his play is just very disciplined. We're not pushing through the middle, we're just pushing to the outside bases, and as soon as he saw creep, he just went around. He, cost himself probably like 15 seconds. And maybe he could have pushed across, but it's very disciplined. Actually plays textbook like he should. And that's really funny though. He just sees a little bit of creep and he's like, nope, nope, nope. It's a new element of Clem's play that I just discovered. Here we go. Obviously good splits. Tank shooting the Banelings as always. Now the mute is coming again. Man, this is even like rewatching it. This is such a cool game. You can see, even though he responds to both, his main focus is always on the army. If he has to choose, like this, his focus is gonna be on the army. That's very important. And it makes sense, I think. Because you can macro, it's getting a bit much, I'm just gonna pause quickly. You can macro wherever you are. Your camera could be here and you can macro, right? So, I think he put his rally here in the middle instead of over here. So his Marines would deal with this eventually. But if you neglect the main army for a bit, those Banelings could roll in here and it's all dead. And that might actually end the game. So this makes a little sense that he's actually pretty much purely focusing on the army there. He knew there was a threat. And, it may have cost him a little bit in the defense, but definitely kept him in the game by saving his army. And on this map, what's also very important to note is that the 5th base is really hard to take for Zerg. So Raynor is really struggling here to actually take that base. So I feel like Clem's philosophy here was, as long as I deny the outer base and I secure my own 4th, I'm gonna be fine. And that's why he's also not switching to mines or anything. He doesn't want to slow down his push. He just keeps on going and going. And still hasn't crossed that middle bridge. Very cool. So now once again we're gonna push on the right side. You guys can see the same pattern all the time, right? Raider jumps in. Ooh, that tank lives by a little bit actually. That scan just saved his life. I don't know if you guys saw that right here. You skip forward a little bit. Okay, watch this scan. There's Burrowed Banelings like right here or something. You see 5 Burrowed Banelings. Those would have killed 50 Marines if they walked over. Not even kidding. The safety scan forward that he always does just saved him right there. I don't even know why he scanned. It's just the discipline scan, you know. Like I said, it's playing by the rules. And now, okay, this is what I try to teach you guys as well in games, and you can see that Clem is using it very well. Is that he is making sure that he always has a massive concave. Like whenever I coach students as well, is that whenever there's a, like let's say an army here, they will have their bio here and maybe split off a bit here. But since Zerg pretty much always flanks, you also need to concave the flank, if that makes sense. So you can see, Clem has units here, just in case units come from here or they come from here. And he will always have the concave, and that's very important. If you're in the ball as Terran, you're always gonna die a pretty painful death. So Clem is also splitting his army a lot, catching those mutas with this insane concave. That's so many mutas that just went down. Rainer thought he saw an opening, but sadly this is Clem, and that opening wasn't there. Now, really good run by Rainer. As to be expected, of course. As you can see, Clem's camera movement is getting a little bit shaky. Like, this is getting very hectic. He's being harassed everywhere. If I had to guess, I think at this point, Clem probably thinks he's losing. Because his base on the outside are dead. He only has 1 base left. So now Clem might actually end desperation mode. I know I would. But as you can see, Clem is still keeping up, the pattern, the macro. Still adding more CCs when losing them. Instead of just pure all-inning, he's actually still trying to macro. He knows he can't win on just these bases. So he's still going. Now with his main army, he has to wait for a scan. Because he saw a few Banelings burrow on the ramp. I caught it too there. Yeah, he actually doesn't have a scan. That's kind of annoying. He's waiting for... You can tell he wants to go, but he doesn't have a scan. You see? Right there. There we go. And then instantly stims everything, wants to go in. Now let's see how Clem is gonna manage this. View us from the back. Okay, guys. Just pay attention to this, because this was actually one of the most impressive fights I have seen. Like, if you look at this, I didn't think this was salvageable at all. Just look at what's going on the screen. His entire army is caught. This army over here, I'm using my hands again, it's not even big enough to kill this. And somehow this fight will salvage and turn into something good for Clem. So step 1, he actually lifted only the units that were here and flew them away, so he can keep kiting, but he has these medevacs full. So he actually had a perfect save already. So now reinforcements come in. He's gonna split down here, and then he suddenly has the concave again, and it turns into a good trade for him, even though it looked like an absolute disaster, to be honest. Like, I didn't know that was... Maybe you guys want to watch it again. So first, some more units came in to help with the fight. This was a bit unlucky. And then even more units come in from here and the top to turn this into a concave, and suddenly Rainer is the one walking into a meat grinder. That was honestly another incredible fight. I thought, when I saw this, I was like, oh no, it may be over for Clem here, because that just looked real rough. That didn't look salvageable. And then, I don't know, I was kind of mind blown as I was witnessing it live. So once again, kind of repeating myself what I have to say, following the pattern, pushing the outside base. Still hasn't pushed to that middle bridge at all. Taking such a good position here with the siege tank as well. And he just keeps taking on bases. It was really crazy is that it felt like he was poor, right? He lost this base, he lost this base, and now all of a sudden this base saturated. He has another orbital making, and he's trying to secure this base as well. Like, just that discipline to keep macroing and not actually go into desperation mode and give up. It has actually put him into an economically good spot here. Like, Rainer has more as drones, workers. But don't forget that he killed the base on the right side, Clem did. So Rainer is not actually mining a lot at this point. And now Clem killed this base. It looks like he's a little bit more satisfied. Like, he's playing a bit more passive, going back. Because at this point he knows all he needs to do is secure that base, and he'll probably win the game. Unless there's maybe ultras on the way. But considering the amount of trades they had, it seems very unlikely. And something I have to say is that when he sandwiched the mutas at this point and killed like half of them, that was big. Because this group of mutas would have been like, I don't know, 25, 28, I'm not sure how many he killed. And then you actually can't stop them anymore with mines. Like, sorry, without mines. Like, these turrets, insta-shot and this base is gone. But now there's like 10-ish less mutas. It actually becomes somewhat manageable again. Like, all those little things actually matter. Maybe Clem would have only been on 150 supply if those mutas lived. Because the mutas would have tortured him. And then obviously Rainer would have been on 160 if those mutas were alive. Messed up the POV there for a second, my bad. Now, as you can see, Clem... I don't know why. He just knows how to read the game. Like, he was pushing all the time. He was like a little bit behind maybe, or a little bit even, a little bit ahead. And he was pushing all the time. And now all of a sudden he just realized he's in such a good spot. All he has to do is secure the base. And he just waits a bit to secure his new base. Like, this level of, you know, I don't know how else to call it. Being able to read the game, to me, is incredibly impressive. Like, in the previous fights, he wouldn't go back for this kind of stuff. He would just, you know, keep going, keep pushing. And it looked like that's just what his style was, to always attack. But it turns out he actually just, once again, the forward scan. Amazing stuff. It looks like this time he perfectly knew when to stop attacking. So this seems to be the desperation base from Rainer here. Obviously, Rainer probably getting sick of getting his base there denied all the time. Kind of try to take this as a hidden one. Once again, really good concave here by Clem. Having units on both sides. Few too many units for Rainer, sadly. But really good positioning there. Reactions as well. Though I feel like you were able to see that he was definitely feeling a bit nervous and tense here. Because normally the reactions would have been even smoother. So feels good for me to know that even you know, these wonder kids get affected by nerves. That's very nice to know that it's not just me choking and losing my games. Well, they choke and still win their games. So I guess that's the difference. Still making command centers as well. Yeah, to be honest, guys, that's like the biggest thing I've noticed for myself in this analysis. Just the discipline he has to actually keep going. I feel like a lot of parents, including me, in those desperate situations, at some point you get so many CCs denied, you feel like, I just don't have the eco anymore. That's it. We have to all-out push. But Clem never seems to think that, and he just keeps going. He keeps pushing when he has to. Keeps making command centers, never gives up. And since this is Rainer's last base, it's gonna be tough. Lifts up. This is actually a good tactic to do when you're nervous, by the way. When you get surrounded and the fight is screwed up and you don't have the micro or the stability to target fire all of them, you just lift up and go. Honestly, yeah, just insane games. You know, the so confident in his 2-base build, the reaction speed. So fast in everything, actually, like those reaches on the libs, going back to make production. I mean, I'm going to be trying to copy it, to use what I learned. I hope you guys enjoyed this analysis as well. Best TvZ in the world, of course. Yeah, I don't have much more to say. I'm kind of exhausted watching these games, to be honest. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and see you guys next time. Adios.